back to Brian Knows Movies. This is Brian, your host. I'm so excited to have you here. We're going to be talking summer movies. Yes, it is summer movie season, and we are going to preview the movies that we're so excited to see, the ones that we are guaranteed to see in theater. Before we get started, I have some special guests, my movie phone crew. I want to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hey, everybody.
Start with Anita.
Hey, everybody. My name is Anita. Thanks for having me, Brian. I'm excited to be here.
And my man, Mike.
Hey, Brian. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be here as well. Look forward to talking about some of these movies that's going to come out this summer.
So yeah, Mike and Anita is usually who's sitting to my left and my right when we go to AMC to watch these movies. So we looked at the categories and the catalog of movies that are coming out for the rest of this summer. We know that summer movie season usually starts the first week of May, but with the world starting to open it back up finally, it looks like really June, July, and August is going to be the major part of the summer movie scene. So there's literally dozens of great movies coming out. We picked our top 6 movies we want to talk about. So that already lets you know that there's going to be a lot of movies we're not going to be able to get into. But hey, we're going to save that for another day. I want to go ahead and start with our first movie that we're so excited about to see. Number 6, Space Jam: A New Legacy. This movie's coming out on July 16th, directed by Malcolm Lee. And we got, of course, the great LeBron James, arguably the greatest player to ever live, depending on who you talk to, based off of generations. What's so exciting about this movie for me was that I was 11 when the original Space Jam came out. I remember going to the theater to see MJ team up with Bugs Bunny, and then all of a sudden the guy from Ghostbusters was playing ball with him too. It's like the greatest thing I've ever seen. So nostalgia purposes alone has me really excited to see LeBron James tag team and play with current stars and take on the Monstars. How about you guys?
I'll say, yeah, I'm really excited to see it, especially because LeBron James is a Laker now. So, me being Team Lakers, I'm going to support him. But also going back and thinking about the original Space Jam, Michael Jordan wasn't the best actor, even though he really didn't have to be. But I feel as though LeBron James has more experience when it comes to acting. Like he's done voice acting with Teen Titans Go, things such as that. So I think that his performance will be better than Michael Jordan's. I'm just really excited to see what they do differently this time. And, just the Looney Tunes. I love the Looney Tunes. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Brian. I'll go after you.
I was going to say unpopular opinion. I went back and saw Space Jam as an adult, and the movie's pretty terrible. And it's mainly because of Michael Jordan, but it's still a lot of fun. But Michael Jordan is just so bad in that. Like, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck are really carrying him, until he starts dunking on people in Space Jam. He's kind of the worst part of the movie. I'm with you, though. I don't expect that to be the case with LeBron.
Yeah, and just real quick, Anita, before you go, to talk about that, yeah, Michael Jordan is a bad actor, but you can't be great at everything. So he's great at basketball. So I didn't expect him to be a phenomenal actor. But also another character that I think kind of pulled his weight in the original Space Jam was old dude. I can't think of his name right now, but he was on Seinfeld.
From Seinfeld, yeah.
Yeah. He was real funny in the original, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was. Yeah, I think that I'm most excited about seeing Bugs Bunny. So I know you guys are LeBron fans. I like LeBron too, but I'm not big on basketball. But as a kid, Bugs Bunny was my favorite. I even dressed up as him for Halloween. So I just think the Looney Tunes are hilarious, and that's what I'm excited about. I don't even remember Michael Jordan being a bad actor in the movie. So I think it's purely nostalgia. My son, who's 7, may have picked up on it though, because he does not like the movie at all. He's not a Space Jam fan. So I'm looking forward to going with him this time to see if he changes his mind. He's very aware of who LeBron James is. And so I feel like this might be a lot more relatable for him. And another thing that I like from what I saw from the preview is not an exact carbon copy of the original, which I think a lot of movies that we've seen recently have just been the same exact thing, and so it falls short. And so I'm glad to see that they're doing something different with the storyline. But I also want to see what type of supporting characters they bring in as comedians. But I also enjoy seeing LeBron James on screen. He was in Trainwreck, and I thought he did a good job. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm wondering who's going to be the Bill Murray character. They seem to be playing that kind of close to the hip. They're not showing them in any previews. We know Don Cheadle's the big baddie, but who's going to be the? I'm expecting some more cameos than what they're letting on. So, so that's number 6. We're going to move on to a movie that is on the direct opposite side of the spectrum of Space Jam. It's this movie comes from A24 Films called Zola. It's really hard to explain this film. Go check out the preview. Basically, what it reminds me of, it's like, Baps meets Players Club meets The Hangover. I don't know. It's like this crazy story about these 2 strippers. They're going to Atlanta to make some money. A pimp's involved. There seems to be a lot of shenanigans. There seems to be turning for the worse because they don't really know each other. It is just look real crazy in a very intriguing way. Why is this movie to you guys, starting with you, Mike, why are these movies so, why is it so intriguing to you?
Yeah, so I guess like when it comes to most hype films, this was my number 1 for the summer. And it's mainly because I remember actually being on Twitter when the actual story went down, and it was just crazy just reading it live. And later on, I saw that they were actually going to make it into a film. This was years ago. Now it finally came out and it is a film, and A24, like you said, is behind it. They do quality work. So I'm just real interested in actually seeing it, or excited to see it just play out on film as opposed to just reading about the tweets, because the tweets, they were wild. I actually got to go back and reread those tweets. I know they're from like long ago, but anything that's on the internet, you can always find. It's always going to be there. But yeah, I'm just really excited because I just remember the story being so wild. So yeah, I just figured it'd be something different to see.
Yeah.
How about you,
it's the same thing for me. I remember it on Twitter as well. And this is at a time when tweets weren't really going viral. So this is one of the first stories to do it, where everybody in the world was reading the same exact thing. The movie itself isn't something I would typically be into. So it's just because of Twitter. I want to see if it lives up into the hype. So, and then when I was watching the preview, I don't know if it was just me, but one of the characters, the girl that reached out, was kind of annoying to me. I don't know not Zola, the other girl. She was pretty annoying, and so I'm just curious to see like how she acts in the actual film, and I'm curious to also know if that's how she is in real life.
So there's a lot of independent actors from independent films. I'll be open and honest about it. I don't know who any of these people are. Taylor Page plays the titular hero, Zola, if you want to call her a hero, the titular character. Riley Coe, I think that's the person that you're talking about. Anita. It's directed by Janisa Bravo. She's from Panama. It just seems like they really did deep and probably like short films, I'm assuming, where some of these people got their start. But A24, they rarely miss. So I'm excited to see. I think Riley Coe is playing up that part, being very annoying, being very mistrustworthy. It should be. I don't know if this movie's going to be fun. I hope it is, but it's at least going to keep your attention.
Oh, no, this movie's going to be fun because I just remember reading about it and how wild it is. And it just seems like something out of the movies anyway. Like, I didn't even think could be a real story, but I guess it was. And if I remember right, didn't this take place in Florida? And we always hear about like wild stuff's happening in Florida anyway. So I guess it's not, too crazy.
It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes me think about what's the Twitter handle? Is it Instagram? I think it's Twitter, Florida Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like every day of the week, like Florida Man did something, it's in the news for something crazy. So yeah, let's get into it. So that comes out. Please go to the theaters because I want to hear what you got to think about it too. June 30th is when Zola comes out. A24 Films. Number 4 for us is Black Widow, July 9th, 2021. We already know what Black Widow is about. This is going to be our transition from phase 4 of the Marvel MCU to phase 5. I think that the original Avengers were perfectly cast, including Scarlett Johansson in the role of Black Widow. Even though she didn't have a Russian accent for most of it, it didn't really bother me because she played the role well. This is finally her solo film, and there's a lot I think that's going to happen in this film to set up Phase 5. There's questions on if Florence Pugh, who's going to be also Black Widow in the movie, Black Widow's little sister, is she going to be the next Black Widow in the Marvel MCU? I'm excited about David Arbor playing the Red Guardian. That makes me think, will we get a Winter Guard? All of these kind of deep dives into the Marvel comic lore, I'm really excited about. I'm going to start with you, Anita, because this is pretty high up on your list too. What are you the most excited about for Black Widow?
Yeah, I'm a huge Marvel fan overall. And so anything Marvel that comes out was just going to have me excited. And it's interesting that she got a solo movie so late in the game, but I guess like what you were saying, it was very intentional. I'm not the biggest Scarlett Johansson fan. There's no particular reason. It's just typically if she's in a movie, I'm not going to see it just because of her. But I do really like her role in Avengers. And, you think about when we first saw her, what was it on Iron Man? It was just, I mean, she captivates you from the beginning to the end. And so I think that this movie will be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I know that this is not on Mike's list, so he might have a contending view. Do you want to share why this didn't make your top 5?
Yeah, well, y'all know that I'm a DC guy anyway, so maybe that's part of it as well. But I'm not the biggest ScarJo fan. And I think part of it kind of pushed me the wrong way when the whole Ghost in the Shell and all of that happened, like all the controversy behind that, because I'm a big Ghost in the Shell fan. And just, her getting that role, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And she's okay as an actress. She's not like, I think she's overhyped. And just the character of Black Widow in general isn't necessarily a character I'm really interested in when it comes to the Marvel Universe. I mean, Black Widow is okay, but I mean, Marvel has so many better characters out there. But I understand why she's getting a film because she is or part of the original Avengers. So I get that, but it just, I don't know. There's nothing really special about that character or what's been portrayed anyway in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to me.
Mm-hmm. I also felt the same way though about Wanda. When I saw that there was a show coming out about WandaVision, I feel like what they showed in the movies was not enough to interest me into a whole show. And then I watched the show and I was wrong. So I think me knowing more about the movies versus the actual comic, maybe it's the same with Black Widow. They'll give us more to love. They'll make her character more complex than what they showed in the movies.
Yeah, for those Marvel heads like me, that Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, they all joined the Avengers at the same time. They're like reformed villains. And through a lot of the books through the 80s, they kind of carry the team, which is, I think, was one of the things that really disappointed people when the movies came out, is that they didn't have a bigger role, especially Hawkeye. Hawkeye led the Avengers at one point, and what they did was like this everyday man thing with them where all the super strong heroes would get busted up, but, they would come in and use their minds to kind of win the day for the team. It was almost like a Die Hard situation, like the everyday guy versus these insurmountable odds. That's the way that they played them. They started to do that a little bit more towards the end of the MCU Phase 4, but I'm hoping really if they get into this a lot during Black Widow. But like I said, I mean, David Arbor, the way he's portraying Red Guardian by itself, I'm super excited about that. Taskmaster is one of my favorite Marvel villains. We'll see how much it connects to Phase 5. I think we're going to get some it's like I said, it seems more like a transition film, so it's probably just more setup than anything, but I'm still excited. Let's see. We're already to number 3. And number 3 is a big one, guys. We're talking about Candyman. This is the Candyman that's produced by Jordan Peele. It takes place directly after the first Candyman, so they're retconning all the sequels, which I think is probably a good thing because those sequels were kind of, whatever. This is coming out August 27th, so this is the latest movie of the summer that we'll be previewing as well. Nia DaCosta, who's also doing The Marvels, which is the Captain Marvel sequel. She's directing that movie. She directed this movie as well. And I'm really excited about this. I was a really big fan of Candyman As everybody who knows this channel knows, I love horror. It's my favorite genre of film. I've been watching horror since I was in grade school. Probably should have been doing it that early, but Candyman is one of those movies I saw when I was like 9 or 10 years old. How about you guys? Let's start with Anita again.
Do not take my black card from me. That's all I have to say.
Oh no.
Okay. I have not seen the original Candyman. Please don't hold that against me. But I too love horror. I do. I love it a lot. I seen The Exorcist when I was like 8 and I was scared out of my mind, but I also loved it. But a lot of like Black horror films I just have not seen. I plan to watch it before this movie. But one thing, or the reason why I'm so excited for this movie, for one, I love Jordan Peele. Get Out was amazing. Us, I love the twist in Us. I didn't really enjoy watching Us as much. But also, I'm a big Tiana Paris fan. Like even before the Marvel came out, I just thought she was such an underrated actress. And I'm so glad to see that she's really getting some shine with this movie. And so I'm just hoping that there's like a lot of twists and turns and even like just classic horror in this movie. I don't know what to expect because I haven't seen the original. So maybe that just even played into my excitement, but I'm all for it.
I'm not gonna hold it against you because I'm not gonna take your black card on this because Candyman, even though it's great, it's pretty much a cult classic. It didn't get a lot of views, a lot of playtime on like cable or anything. It's kind of hard to find now. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about it is because you talked about Black horror films. There really isn't any. I mean, Candyman is probably the best one until Get Out came out. I mean, Leprechaun in the Hood,
What about
without Blackula? I don't know. I don't know what else to call Black horror.
Yeah, but even like I haven't seen any of those either. Bones.
I'm gonna disagree. Bones? I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Brian, about Candyman being the best Black horror film. What about Tales from the Hood? I think that was better than Candyman. Especially when you had like the little dolls and stuff. Remember the little dolls and how they were eating people and stuff? That stuff was terrifying when I was a kid. And also about the monster who was like an abusive, was a stepdad or whatever. You don't remember those stories?
What's it called? Tough in the Hood?
Yeah, Tales from the Hood.
I thought Tales from the Hood was kind of meta. It was kind of making fun of itself more than anything. But
I don't know. As a kid, that scared me. So.
Well, there's only, like I said, there's only like 4 or 5 of these movies, So I'm excited that, and also I was nervous about Candyman when I heard that they were talking about making this years ago. They were trying to get a Candyman remake or continue the saga with that. But they've been doing this pretty well recently. Halloween, they remade Halloween or did a direct sequel to the first Halloween back in 2017, 2018. The year escapes me, but I thought that was really, really well done. The last, the Child's Play remake, I thought was really done. So they're taking these 80s and 90s horror film franchises, and I think that they're doing them justice. So I'm excited to see what we get with this. But I'm going to give you a chance to talk about what you're excited about in this film. This is pretty high on your list too.
Oh yeah, Candyman. I remember just seeing it as a kid. I was actually in Chicago and I watched it for the first time. And I think it takes place on the west side of Chicago. Is in Cabrini Green projects, I believe. But yeah, I just remember watching that. My cousin scared me afterwards because he was babysitting me. And then he would turn off all the lights and act like he was Candyman and chase me throughout my grandmother's house. So that was pretty terrifying back then. But I had no business watching it when I was a little kid. But yeah, I think just because it takes place in Chicago and I was in Chicago at that time, it just really bring back like scary memories, I guess, for me as a kid. But I'm excited to see what Jordan Peele does with this. I did like Get Out. I didn't really like Us too much. So he's 50-50 with me so far for the films that I've seen. But from the previews, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. And like you can kind of see that there's twists in those previews as well. As it kind of seems like, I don't know if Candyman is alive now and he's like, I don't know if he's like, what do you call it? What's his name? The guy.
He's in it. He's in the movie. His name is Tony Todd. He's returning as Candyman.
No, not Tony Todd. I'm talking about the guy.
Yahya.
I should know. Huh?
Yeah,
What you saying,
something.
Nita?
The main character, Yahaya.
Yeah. I can't think of but I don't know if he's
Yahya
like possessed
Abdul
by
Mateen
Candyman
is
or
what I got.
what. Yeah, it just kind of sounds like he's possessed by Candyman. I don't know what's going on, so that's pretty interesting. So,
I will say that Jordan Peele is not the only reason I'm excited about this movie, because he also produced a horror movie last year, and I've erased it from the memory. The title of it, maybe you guys can remind me. Janelle Monáe was in it, and it was trash.
No,
yeah,
he
I do
didn't
remember
produce
you told
it.
us that.
He didn't
He
produce
did
it. It
produce
was the
that movie.
people. It was the people who produced, who helped him, who was on Get Out, but it wasn't Jordan Peele.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they used
But they
Get
used
Out to
that
get
intentionally.
their raggedy movie put out there. That movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Gutter trash. I take
Give my
whatever
man Jordan some
that
slack.
movie was, huh?
Give my man
Does
Jordan
anybody
some
remember the
slack.
name of it?
No, I too
It starts
erased
with a
it. Not
B,
even
doesn't
watch
it?
it.
Didn't it start with
I
a B
gotta
or
tell
something?
you guys, I got to the audience what the movie is. They don't, but this is a skip it. If y'all know my rating, I don't want you getting caught up on what's it called, Amazon or something, and seeing this trash film.
Antebellum.
And like, why didn't Brian warn me?
Excuse me, it starts with an A. Antebellum.
Antebellum.
Yep.
Terrible. Anyway, we're not talking about terrible movies. We're talking about Candyman. Candyman is going to be great. Go watch it August 27th. Then usually when you get summer movies in the end of August, those tend to be where they throw all the garbage films that they think could hold up against the other ones. But I'm pretty excited about Candyman. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be great. Just like this next movie, The Suicide Squad. We're back into this world of DCEU. If there is even a DCEU anymore, I don't know. But the Suicide Squad's back. It's a direct sequel to the 2008, I think came out 2018, 2017 original Suicide Squad. We got Margot Robbie coming back as Harley Quinn. Idris Elba's here, John Cena. Sylvester Stallone is doing the voice of the shark guy. What's it called? King Shark?
King Shark, yep.
Which, I'm a huge Sylvester Stallone fan. It's like a gazillion people in this movie. James Gunn is directing it. I'm the Marvel guy. I'm not the DC guy. So I'm gonna let Mike tell us a little bit about what he thinks about these characters and what we should be excited about.
So the first Suicide Squad movie was utterly nothing but trash. I remember actually walked out the movie theater. I never finished the entire thing, and I was there with y'all. And y'all were like, Michael, come back. It's not done. I'm like, no, I can't deal with this. So I don't think they can do any worse than that. So I don't really have high hopes for it, but I'm sure it'll be better than that one. DC has been more hit than miss lately as well. And like you said, with James Gunn directing it, I believe, I think that, we actually have a chance of having a decent Suicide Squad movie this time. Margot Robbie does a good Harley Quinn, even though she doesn't have the accent, like that Brooklyn accent, that New Yorker accent that Harley Quinn actually kind of does have in the animated series. And it's kind of interesting to see if they deal with King Shark. King Shark has gotten more popularity because of the Harley Quinn animated series that they have on HBO Max. Him being more of a comedic type character. So I think they're going to go more with that for him as well. And just they have some hard hitters on this new Suicide Squad. Like they have Mongal, who is Mongol's daughter. And she's real strong. She's up there like able to fight people like Superman. So it's interesting to see how she's going to play into this whole scenario, just because her power level is so much higher than everybody else's. And I see that they have Starro on there. And Starro was like the original villain when it comes for the Justice League. Like he's the reason Justice League actually came together to begin with. He's another heavy hitter. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. So yeah, like I said, they can't do any worse than the first movie. So I'm excited to see what they do here.
How about you, Anita?
Yeah, I'm pretty scarred from that first movie. I was just so disappointed. And then DC overall with their movies, I feel like they have never reached the peak of what they can do. And so I went through, since I wasn't as familiar with DC characters, I went through and I watched a whole slew of Justice League movies on HBO, the animated ones, and they were really good. And so that has given me hope with this new Suicide Squad. And just watching the previews, it feels a lot more like the animated one that I saw. Even with the chemistry of the characters, it feels a lot more believable. And I did watch Birds of Prey, and I like that movie. I thought it was pretty solid. which I was hesitant to watch because of Suicide Squad, but I'm glad that I went and saw it anyway. It was fun. So I think that it looks like they'll do a better job with this one. Like Michael said, it can't, literally, there is nothing worse than that first one they gave us. So
something else I did want to add in that I do like from Suicide Squad. So I said I like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I can't think of the actor's name right now, but I do like Captain Boomerang. Captain Boomerang is probably like my favorite character from the Suicide Squad, just because he's so crazy. He's like really out for himself, and he's just a big show off. Like you said, the animated film you saw, Anita, I think it was Batman in the Suicide Squad one. That's why I was so pissed about the original Suicide Squad movie. It's like literally they already got an animated movie. You could have just copy and pasted this, and it would have been a great movie. But y'all literally, like, I don't know what y'all did with this.
Y'all had the blueprint.
Trash. Yeah, you had the blueprint right there. So hopefully they're using that movie or other Suicide Squad movies as a blueprint for this to actually get the characters right and everything, and just make a good film. I mean, come on, DC, get it together. You can't have Marvel getting all the money.
Right. Yeah. I think maybe DC gets so caught up on the actors. Like I get it. You got Will Smith in your movie, but that doesn't mean give him all the shine and then everybody else is just blah, you know? And I think that that's what happened in the first Suicide Squad. It's just like, give us the characters.
I'll say, I mean, we've been talking about how bad DC's been with their properties ad nauseum as a movie loving community. And a lot of it has to do with them. As we know, it's a lot of interference by executives at Warner Brothers. It's people writing these movies that have no connection to the characters or any type of love for the characters. And it just shows. I mean, the last Suicide Squad had literal Oscar winners, multiple Oscar winners in that movie, and Oscar nominated actors and actresses. And it was the worst movie of that year to me. I was probably the worst superhero film I've seen ever. Because even the ones I thought that were super bad, I go back and watch Daredevil with Ben Affleck, nowhere near as bad as Suicide Squad.
Even Green Lantern wasn't as bad as this.
Yeah, Green Lantern wasn't
nowhere near as
bad.
It's like, I just don't get why that movie failed so hard. It was, but James Gunn, I mean, there's a lot of big names in this movie too, but James Gunn is where I'm placing my faith. He took Guardians of the Galaxy, also a bunch of minor characters. If you think about, unless you're like really hardcore Marvel fans, nobody knew who Star-Lord was or Groot or any of those people before those movies. And it was probably the greatest Marvel movie, at least top 3 when it came out. And I would still say it's probably top 10 Marvel movie, the first Guardian. So I think James Gunn is going to do what he needs to do, especially with that R rating that he's going to be able to play around with.
Something I do want to say about James Gunn taking the helm of the film is that I don't want it to be another Guardians of the Galaxy. I want it to be a Suicide Squad movie, because from the previews, it kind of seems like it can be like what they did with King Shark, as being like, I don't know, kind of like a Groot type character. I want King Shark to be King Shark. I don't want King Shark to be Groot-like, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I got some Drax feels from King Shark, actually. Kind of like just silly, stupid. But I'm with you. He needs to do something original with those, not even originals, but be faithful to the characters. The reason Marvel movies work and DC properties can work is because the stories are really already there. You're just gonna punch them up for the big screen. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and do something super artsy with it. Give the fans what they want.
And then trust the actors to actually portray them. Like, don't put them in the background. Like, you hired them, trust them to play it out.
I think Jared Leto is still salty about Suicide Squad. And but to be honest with you, after seeing the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League and him being on one of the 15,000 endings of Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm glad he was left out, because he's terrible. He's still terrible. I don't know why. Okay, it's time to move on, because I don't want to keep bashing his plays. Suicide Squad. My goodness, I can just go on for the rest of my life. All right, I cheated because I'm so excited about this movie. I said we got to put it in as an honorable mention. But so before we go to number 1, I want to talk about this movie called Green Knight that's coming out on July 30th. Also an A24 film. It is my sleeper pick to be the number one, not the number one movie, so I don't think it's going to outgross a lot of these films, but I think it's going to be the best film of the summer. I'm calling it now. The talent that's involved with this, Dev Patel is one of my favorite actors working right now. Alicia Vikander is really good. Joel Edgerton, I don't think he's ever been in a bad movie in his life. And he's never been bad in a movie in his life. The visuals look amazing. For those who haven't seen the trailer or know what Green Knight is about, this is going to an IP we haven't visited in quite some time, and this is the King Arthur Camelot Knights of the Round Table IP, where you have a knight that's a part of Gawain, who's part of the Knights of the Round Table, who basically ends up fighting this monster, mythical creature in the middle of the round table. And this actually starts off this epic journey for this knight. I'm excited about it because of the visuals, because of the director that's associated with it, David Lowery. I think that this movie, because of the studio behind it, I think this movie is going to be the best movie of the summer. It was not on Mike's or Anita's list. I want to see if they got a chance to look at the trailer, if they had any reactions.
I had a chance to look at the trailer, and it does look pretty interesting. And I'm glad you actually brought it to my attention because I had no idea about this film at all. Like, I never saw any type of publicity for it or anything. So that's kind of interesting. And I don't know if that's foretelling, if it's maybe not going to be a good movie because I haven't seen anything for it. But you never know. Like you said, it could be a sleeper. My one gripe about it is that, yeah, A24 is behind it. So I'll give them benefit of the doubt, but I'm just kind of tired of the whole Camelot King Arthur stories. I think there's so many of them out there. And I think there are other cultures that things are going on during that time period that we need movies about them as well, just because, not everything happened in the UK or Britain or whatever. Like, there are a lot of things going on that they don't really make movies about. So I guess that's my one gripe against. Not saying it's going to be a bad movie, but I'm just kind of tired of the whole Camelot storylines and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also thought that too. It's on Netflix a lot. Not necessarily the movie blockbusters lately, but like a lot of the series on Netflix kind of have that same thing to it. But go ahead, Brian.
I'll say, yeah, you got Merlin. It's probably the biggest show that I could think of that kind of dived into this whole Camelot series, Camelot franchise. I think it's because I could be wrong on this. I have to look it up, but the IP is probably not owned by anybody because it's such an old story. So it's probably easy movies to make. What got to me also was the casting of Dev Patel as the knight of the round that we're following here. Indian, Asian, South Asian descent, but also it reflects kind of what England and Great Britain is now. When you look at the landscape, the tapestry of peoples that live there, it's very multicultural with that South Asian and Indian influence. So I thought that was a really smart move to put him in the lead role as opposed to just doing your cookie cutter white actor. In fact, I probably wouldn't be anywhere near as excited if it was just like I can't even think of anybody right now that could I was thinking of the guy from Tegra Edgerton. Is that how you say his name? The guy from yeah. Anyway, any old white guy, I guess I probably wouldn't be as excited about. I do think we also agree we could probably look at other IPs, but man, this movie just looks breathtaking. I'm really a big action adventure guy, Lord of the Rings and movies like that and stuff like that. So it's kind of in that realm to me. So yeah, we'll see. I am a little nervous that it's not going to do well in the box office because the promotion hasn't been as big. And the preview, it's a little confusing as well. Yeah. I think that they need to get us a second trailer that's a little bit more straight to the point and really promote the heck out of it at the next couple of movies, or else I don't think this movie's gonna make any money. But once again, my sleeper pick for the number one movie or the best movie of the summer.
Yeah,
and you had one more thing.
I agree. Like, I was confused on the genre of the movie, but I did think of like Lord of the Rings, which is like one of my favorite trilogies of all time. And the main character is also someone who intrigued me as well because it didn't feel cookie cutter because of it. But it's like what would hold me up from going to see it is like I don't know what to expect. Like, is this like it kind of has like a scary feel to it? Is it just fantasy? Like, what's going on here? But I would say I don't know if I've never seen the previews before because of COVID, because there's just like so many movies that I'm not aware of because we are just now getting back into the movie theaters. And even if I see a trailer on TV or if I'm watching YouTube, it still doesn't captivate you the same way as watching a movie trailer in the theaters. And so, yeah, that's probably why I just never heard of it before. But I'm willing to give it a shot. If you go, Brian, I'll go with you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. That's actually where I saw the trailer. I started going back to the movies a couple of months ago after I got these shots. Right. So,
right.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely can feel that. I will also say, because you say it's kind of hard to pinpoint, kind of even guys a horror feel. It reminds me a bit of how Pan's Labyrinth looks. If you've ever seen Pan's Labyrinth, and even the villain kind of reminds me of the ghost from Pan's Labyrinth, or the satyr from Pan's Labyrinth. So it kind of has that feel to it. But anyway, let's go ahead and not keep people in suspense. The number one movie that we as a collective movie phone crew is looking forward to is actually coming out this weekend on the 4th of June. We're talking about The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm sorry. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, coming out June 4th, 2021. We have Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga coming back as Ed and Lorraine Warren. This is a direct sequel to The Conjuring 2, so it's not really in the same mythos. Well, it is in the same world of like the Annabelle movies and The Nun, but we're in a space where a direct sequel. Conjuring 1 and 2 are amazing. They helped to bring about this horror renaissance that was desperately needed about 5 or 6 years ago. What say you guys? How excited are you about The Conjuring?
This was my number one, because I just love horror, and specifically this type of horror. Like, I'm not big on gore, but I can do spook and hauntings and demons and all that. I love it. Out of all the movies that we've seen together as a crew, we have seen a lot over the last like 10 years. This is one movie that I vividly remember us all leaving and being like, whoa, that was amazing. Now, the second Conjuring was good. It wasn't as good as the first. I think I was probably less impressed with it as you were, Brian, but I still enjoyed it because, I mean, The Conjuring just really set the bar so high for any other horror movie that followed it. And so even the Annabelle series, The Nun, which was trash, and all, even the ones that weren't related to The Conjuring just really could not live up to the standard. Like, they really just breathe new life into horror. And I think the frustrating thing about being a lover of horror is that there are just so few good horror movies that we get. We have to savor the ones that are really, really good. And Amityville Horror is one of my favorite stories of all time because, and it's kind of sad when you think about it, because the real story is just so brutal, but it's just equally creepy. I'm kind of nervous that they might be trying to do too much in this movie. I'm gonna be honest. The preview makes me a little nervous, but I just have to hold out faith. So that's my number one. I'm most excited about this film.
You know, the preview actually is what makes me even more excited. It's not like this haunting where they're trying to stop a haunting. It's Ed and Lorraine were not in the picture when old boy went and killed his family, right? This is them kind of being detectives, trying to figure out what's going on, knowing that there's something demonic that's taking place, and trying to find evidence of that demon possession to help this guy win his case. You know, he pleaded not guilty due to demonic possession, right? I think it was probably due to insanity, but you know, that's what they're trying to prove. And I think that the whole detective aspect of it is what's exciting to me. The Paranormal Activity, it reminds me of Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity got really bad probably after the second one. They started to get kind of blah. But they did something interesting. I can't remember which Paranormal Activity it was. It was like either 4 or 5, where they took us away, the found footage part, from away from a house, and it was following these detectives. They kept on finding people like all this weird witchcraft stuff going on, and all these people dead and stuff. It was really interesting how they did that. And I don't know if it was I appreciated something different in that vein, and I'm glad that they're doing that with this movie. What does make me nervous, though, is that this horror renaissance we're talking about, Insidious, The Conjuring, it was because of James Wan directing. I would throw Sinister in there too, but Sinister wasn't directed by James Wan. But James Wan gave us Insidious, and he gave us The Conjuring. He gave us the first Saw, which I actually liked the first Saw. All that stuff was happening sort of around, Saw was early, but sort of around the same time. James Wan is not directing this film. So that makes me a bit nervous. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to ask you if James Wan was directing this film. I didn't know if he was or wasn't, but since you said he isn't, that does bring up a good point to be nervous about it. Just because those other sequels, he was just an executive producer, I think, or producer, and it just seems when he's not at the director helm, things kind of get watered down, or they're not as good as they could be. So I'm optimistic about this one. Like Anita said, The Conjuring 2 wasn't better than the first one. It was okay, but it wasn't really anything new. And there were some corny parts with that too, like with the Crooked Man and all that. That was kind of corny. That was pretty corny,
Yeah.
especially the whole
They're,
song
they're
and
supposed to be
everything.
making a movie of the Crooked Man too.
Yeah, I know.
But
Which is
why?
why, yeah.
You didn't even need him in the movie. Like,
Not at all.
doing
Yeah,
too
he
much.
wasn't even like that big of a character. He was just like, I think the dog turned into the Crooked Man or something like that. I remember I was like,
Yeah.
and then the graphics for that looked pretty bad too. But with Amityville and all of the just the stories behind that, I think they have a lot to go and work with to make this truly terrifying. So I am optimistic about that, just because we know so much about Amityville and what happened, and maybe they could put a spin on things that hasn't been done before. That will be like a breath of fresh air, like The Conjuring was when it first came out. So just gotta wait and see.
I'm going to make you even more nervous. You guys ready? The director of this movie is Michael Chaves or Chaves. I don't know how to say his name. You know what else he directed?
What?
The Curse of La Llorona.
Oh.
Oh, that's a movie you told me not to see because you said it
Yeah,
wasn't.
I did. Yeah, you said it
Yeah.
wasn't
No,
good.
I don't know. So I saved you guys from watching it. It was pretty. It was, it probably wasn't as bad as I remember, but it was not good. It was not good. So, but what does keep me interested and keep me hopeful is that we got Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga come back as Ed and Lorraine Warren. They played those roles so well. Patrick Wilson is also going to be directing one of those offshoots of the Conjuring franchise too. That's neither here nor there. Those two together, I think, can carry the movie by itself. There's this guy that's in the movie. I don't know if you remember from the preview. He's playing like it seemed like some sort of preacher that's helping to like exercise stuff. His name is John Noble. He's a great character. He's one of my favorite character actors of the last 20 years. He was the Steward of Gondor in the Lord of the Rings movies. He was the villain in John Noble.
John Noble.
He basically plays the same guy in every movie he's in, but he's such a unicorn the way that his voice works, the way that, and I'm gonna put this in the chat for you guys to see, the way that his voice is, the way that he approaches roles. He's just so creepy.
He played that crazy king in Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings, yeah. He also was, like I say, he was in Sleepy Hollow. He was in a bunch of other stuff where he's like plays this like creepy, kind of demonic type of guy. He's usually a villain too. So I'm excited to see him in the movie. I hope the actors can carry this movie. It's in my top 3 as well. So The Conjuring comes out next weekend. We'll be seeing it. So you'll be seeing a review of The Conjuring probably sometime within the next 2 weeks. I'll tell you what we think. But yeah, I think that it's going to be a pretty exciting movie season. Any final thoughts for our crew here?
Oh yeah, so just going back with The Conjuring and how you said the director, that's something that you're not too thrilled about. The old saying is that every dog has his day. So I'm going to go back to using DC reference here, like with Zack Snyder and Man of Steel. Man of Steel is probably like the best DC extended universe movie that's been out. He did that, even though he did some other things that weren't really that good. But I mean, hey, that was a real good film to me. So, every director can at least have one good movie, no matter what type of trash they put out previously.
Let's hope.
Knock on wood. All right, guys. Well, that's what we think. What do we know? We're just a bunch of people who love movies. So, what are you excited about? Let us know in the comments below. We only did, really 7 movies because I brought Green Knight out. You probably saw that a lot of movies were missing. We didn't talk about Fast 9 because none of us are really too excited about it. We didn't talk about In the Heights and some of these other movies just because they were just lower down on our list. Our list is composed of movies. If you weren't going to go see anything else, these are the movies you have to see in our opinion. So what did we miss? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, please continue to check out our reviews of Ryan Knows Movies. You'll see those over there in your corner. Thank you, and we'll see you at the theaters next week.